Of the Never Again Live podcast with Mayor Halevi Weinstein and our guest tonight. Let me do a little intro to give some people an opportunity to get on with the program. This is the Never Again podcast series produced by Israel Now. Please go visit israelnow.ca. And we're going to count down and we'll get started. Tonight's episode is going to focus on the normalization of anti-Semitism, particularly coming from Canada and the Muslim Association of Canada. As we mentioned with our host every week, Mayor Halevi Weinstein, and Dr. B, hiding out here in the studio. That's me, by the way. In the other Lone Star State. So what is the Muslim Association of Canada, and what are they doing, and what have they done? So tonight's episode, as we recently promoted, is the Muslim Association of Canada's International Panel of Racist Anti-Semites promoting an agenda of hate. And as I mentioned, we have some special guest panelists with us tonight, which will include none other than the famous Ron East, the publisher and editor of the JCA, Canada's leading source for Israel news, and Ryan Belrose. Both guests have been with us before. He understands Zionism due to his history and lineage as a Métis from northern Alberta. The Muslim Association in Canada has donated just about $300,000 to IFRAN Canada, which then went and transferred $14.6 million to terrorist groups. And according to the Ottawa Citizen, there have been members of Muslim Brotherhood who have also been members of the Muslim Association of Canada. And we're going to go over some of those momentarily. The key speaker and keynote address is Hatam Bazian, who he's spoken about before, and he just seems that he just won't go away. Hatam Bazian, with the emphasis on hate, strongly emphasizes the concept of don't be fooled by these terrorists in suits.
We are a majority and we should act and envision ourselves as the global majority. And we need to increase our participation politically. We need to take one neighborhood at a time. We need to take one neighborhood at a time.
We are many, they're few. We are many, they're few.
Our political leadership was born without a spine. We need to give them genetic mutation and constitute a Palestinian spine for them.
You need to count your days because the corruption that Israel represents will come to an end. Will come to an end.
There are a large number of Zionists who are engaged with Nazi Germany.
Zionism accepted to be the junior partner with the anti-Semitic European powers.
We need to translate our strength into harassment of the political leadership. We need to harass them, have a civil disobedience.
We've been watching Intifada in Palestine, we've been watching an uprising in Iraq, and the question is that what are we doing? How come we don't have an Intifada in this country?
The time to rise up is today.
The only language that the slave master understands is the language of violence.
They're going to say it's the Palestinian being too radical. We haven't seen radicalism yet.
And that's from his own words, Hatam Bazian. He's not the only terrorist speaker. We also have Fadel Solomon, who's a member of the Muslim Association, and he's a keynote speaker. In his own words,
هنا يحتاج أولادنا أن يعرفوا لماذا الإسلام فقط هو الذي يهاجم. لا أحد يهاجم اليهودية ولا يجرؤ أحد أن يهاجم اليهودية. قليل جدا من الناس من يهاجم المسيحية ولا يوجد أحد يهاجم الهندوسية رغم أنهم يعبدون الأبقار. لا أحد يهاجم إلا الإسلام فقط. يجب أن يعرف الناس لماذا الإسلام يهاجم. كل الأديان الموجود أديان شعائرية تهتم في الأساس بالروحانيات والترانيم والأغاني والأذكار.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that spirituality was an important part of all religions, except, as he states, not part of Islam.
ونحن في الإسلام عندنا روحانيات وعندنا
They have
أذكار،
spirituality,
وعندنا
but it's
شيء
secondary
آخر، وهو أنه دين المقاومة.
to resistance.
في العالم الذي يأمر أتباعه بمقاومة الفساد ومقاومة الظلم. فإذا ظن الناس أن الفساد والظلم
The problem is that everything that they don't agree with, they call corruption.
سيتفرجان على الإسلام وهو يطلب من أتباعه ويأمرهم بمقاومتهما دون أن يهاجموا الإسلام، فنحن سذج. لذلك على أولادنا أن يفهموا كلما يهاجم الإسلام علينا أن نشعر بالفخر أكثر. لماذا؟ لأننا ننتمي لهذا الدين الذي يغيظ الفاسدين ويغيظ الكافرين ويغيظ الظالمين.
And that's Fidel Salomon from his own words. Moving right along, we have some other members, including Dunia, who claims that ISIS burning prisoners is no worse than Israeli and American military. We have Omar, who claims that Islam is loyal to Jews. We have Imam Webb, who accused Zionists of collaborating with the Freemasons and spreading corruption on earth. That sounds like the Protocols of Zion to me. And then we have Sheikh Nabusi, who supports Palestinian suicide bombings. And he supports the death penalty for homosexualities. He seems nice. There's also the proud Suleiman Hani, who says that non-Muslims will suffer the abode of hellfire. And he refers to Israelis. He calls on God to rid the world of these cold-blooded killers and every ruler who supports them. He too seems nice in that little group. And not to forget the participation of women in this organization. States that Israel commits war crimes and that Israel's defending itself from Palestinians is analogous to Nazi Germany. And of course, to conclude her statements, Zionism ruins everything. Well, it certainly ruins the Palestinian takeover of our Holy Land. And they have, for entertainment, they have Khalid Siddiq, who will be chanting, singing, and influencing the youth of Canada's Muslim society. Among his hits is his Road to Palestine, where in the actual music video, he portrays pictures of Israelis killing Palestinians, of course. And he shows pictures of young women who state, by Allah, by Allah, by Allah. By Allah's will, we will liberate Palestine. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear what his words actually are.
On the road to Palestine.
Again, that's the headlining entertainment for, that is the headlining entertainment for the Muslim Association Conference of Canada. Well, Einstein said the world is a dangerous place not because of those who do evil, as we've just mentioned several of them, but because of those who look on and do nothing. We prefer a powerful and proud Jewish state that's hated by the entire world versus an Auschwitz that's loved by one and all. And as a special edition, go get the Conceal Carry Talit bag. Don't leave home without it. Analyst, Mayor on the screen, and I'll be speaking to you all later.
I'll figure it out. Maybe 175. I gotta go.
He's got to go. Wait, I'll get back on. Mayor's on the phone, so until he's off the phone, I'll sing and dance and tell the show. Oh, he's back. Mayor, take it away.
Okay. Sorry about that. I get calls every hour. Okay. Anyways, the Parsha this week is Parshas Korach. And it's very important Parsha. Every single Parsha is important, but it pertains to really what we're talking about. Korach was a Jewish leader when the Jews left Egypt, and he was extremely wealthy as well. Extremely. He had access to the treasury from Egypt, so he was extremely wealthy when they left Egypt. But it ate him up inside that Moses was the leader, and he wanted that, and he organized a rebellion against Moses, and it failed. It failed, but just think of it. This is after the Torah was given to the Jewish people, that you actually have someone of a certain stature, that it doesn't matter with all the miracles, everything happening, Jewish people witnessing all the miracles coming out of Egypt, and the Torah being given to the Jewish people at Mount Sinai. In spite of all that, he still had envy for Moses and organized a coup, which was unsuccessful, and he was punished by God, and the people associated with him were punished by God. We have leaders today, Jewish leaders today, and we have had it in every generation. Leaders today that, we would hope that they're motivated by the proper Jewish values and Jewish concepts, and they have the proper vision of what's good for the Jewish people. Where are they? They are almost invisible when it comes to the challenges of anti-Semitism today. We have a conference going on this weekend in Toronto. It's going to be an extremely large Islamic conference, and I have nothing against Islamic conferences per se. I would hope they would embrace the Abraham Accords and want to have normalization agreements with Israel and recognize the Jewish people, our claim to the land of Israel, our historic right, our biblical right, all of our rights to the land of Israel. And we have no desire to expand into any Arab country or take over any Arab country, the Jewish people, just our small little land of Israel. And there are Arab countries and Islamic countries that are signing these peace deals with Israel under the Abraham Accords. And there's the emergence of a very important deal right now with Egypt, that Israel would be able to export and sell Israeli gas that's going to be liquefied in Egypt and sold to the European Union, to Europe, in place of Russian gas. So that's huge. That's incredible for the Israeli economy as Israel emerges as a superpower in the Middle East. But we have Jewish leaders here that when it comes to this conference that I referenced, Muslim Association of Canada, and we have documented who many of the speakers are, many of the key speakers at the conference, that they promote anti-Semitism, hatred of Jews, or justification of terrorism, or justification of terrorist groups or actions, anti-Israel. Our Jewish communities in North America have heard of the mapping project that came out of Boston to target Jewish organizations and Jewish leaders, to be targeted, to be dismantled, action by these violent BDS organizations. And our leadership here is completely silent about this Muslim Association of Canada conference that are bringing in some of the worst haters you could think of. Hatem Barzim, who calls for an intifada in North America. Zafra Balou, who made a speech to target synagogues. They're completely silent. Now, we're going to be discussing this today. Now, we're not silent. We're not silent, and we're pushing to have it exposed. In fact, I sent a letter to the new Attorney General of the provincial government, the conservative government that was just elected again, sent a letter. We're asking for action. We're asking for at least police involvement to monitor the speakers at the conference. We'll see what happens, but we're going to be on top of it. We have people who are going to be there monitoring anyways, by the way. And all we could do right now is expose and confront this vicious anti-Semitism. We have great people with us tonight to join us, and we're going to be discussing it. People could, who are watching, could post a comment or a question. We'll do our best to address it. We'll do our best. So let me welcome to the show Ron East and Ryan Bellerose. Guys, how are you? Let's discuss it tonight. Let's discuss these issues. Oh, by the way, one other thing. There is some good news that Ben and Jerry's, who have endorsed the BDS and was targeting Israel, and they're asked questions. These left-wing, so-called progressive Jewish businessmen, they were asked questions just over a year ago when their boycott of Israel was taking place. Why are you targeting Israel? And you do business in countries that a number of countries, women's rights is non-existent. Gays are killed in that country. Human rights are not respected in this country. Why don't you boycott those countries? And they said, wow, that's a great question. Wow, we're really gonna have to think about that. And the double of going after Israel, which happens to be a beacon of freedom in the Middle East. When you look at the countries that surround Israel, they are dictatorships, they are monarchies. There's no rights, there's no freedoms, there's no freedoms. Forget it. And to use these double standards against Israel to satisfy who? These radical Islamic anti-Semites. We're going to be speaking at this conference. Try to reach out to those Islamic leaders or Arab leaders in the Middle East that are making peace with Israel. To them, work with them instead of going after those who are nothing but haters, vicious haters. The IRA definition of anti-Semitism is very clear about their double standards in comparison to Nazi Germany. It was Jewish survivors who came to Israel after the Holocaust that fought against the Arab countries that invaded Israel and tried to destroy Israel. So survivors of the Holocaust were accused of being the worst haters by the anti-Semitic BDS. Well, that hot air balloon of hate, our show and our efforts put a pin in it, and we push that air out, that hot air, because that's what it is. There's no foundation for it. There's nothing good with the BDS. It's lies, it's hate, defamation, double standards, anti-Semitism, reminiscent of Nazi Germany. Guys, how are you? Ryan, Ron, how are you guys doing?
Hey, before that, make a quick comment on Ben and Jerry's, because I'd like you to read. Yes. I'll put on the screen the quote from Unilever. Okay. Before that, I thought I'd show the little boxing match that went on. Here it is. We had the Ben and Jerry's pro-Jews and the Ben and Jerry anti-Jews. So these are saying end Jew hatred, and these are saying take a beating. Ben and Jerry's out of Israeli settlements. So I think this is a big victory. So, Mayor, here's the actual comment. Unilever rejects completely and repudiates unequivocally any form of discrimination or intolerance. Anti-Semitism has no place in anywhere. We have never expressed any support for the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement, and have no intention of changing that position. It's funny how the position changed, how the dollar sign can change someone's opinion. And I think that's actually what did happen here. An interesting commentary just came up on the screen, which I'll quote also, is that apparently Ben and Jerry's of America, we know that they still are pro-BDS. So here's a commentary someone just put on the screen. which states that Ben & Jerry's made a statement saying they disagree with Unilever, their parent company, and still don't agree with their product being sold in occupied Palestinian territories. Well, know what I say to them? Too bad. Okay, guys, back to you.
Yeah,
So
nobody
I see
cares.
a comment here from a BDS leader. I don't even need to mention her name. Shares the Zionists are the new Nazis, and everyone knows it. Listen, Israel is an emerging superpower in the Middle East. Countries are reaching out to Israel. They love doing business with Israel. Israel invents everything for humanity. Stay in, let the BDS stay in there, wallow in their sewer of hate.
Exactly. But the bottom line is we don't even have to address idiocy like that. We know who the spiritual successors of the Nazis are. They're the ones that are advocating for genocides against Jews. They're the ones that talk about from the river to the sea. Well, stay salty because you don't have a state and you're not going to get one anytime soon. So you might as well just stay in your little corner, be pissy pants, cry all you want. Doesn't matter. We don't give a shit about you.
Hey, Mayor.
Well put.
Mayor, remind me again, which Mufti was it that collaborated with the Nazis?
Yeah,
if you don't mind, just you want to remind me again which Mufti?
No kidding.
You know, it's hilarious to read some of these statements, but it just shows you how burnt they are. You know, this is hurting them in the worst way. They have to come on your show. They got nothing else to do. Where are they going to go scream and yell? Where?
Yeah, let them throw a temper tantrum.
My involvement, a number of years ago against Nazi war criminals and neo-Nazis. I was just looking at an old magazine where it mentioned one of the trials of a Nazi war criminal with the JDL. War criminal, his name was Helmut Roca, SS officer. And because of my involvement and the JDL then, he stayed in jail, rotted in jail, and he died in jail. And the same thing with Ernst Zundel, the neo-Nazi that was a purveyor of Holocaust and pro-Nazi garbage. He wrote a book, The Hitler We Loved and Why. And he had all kinds of friends, contacts in the BDS movement. It wasn't called BDS back then, but he had contacts in that movement. I saw to it. I was very involved. He also rotted, died in jail, and let them all die and wallow in their filth. Take it away, Ron.
You know what's really funny? Yeah, you know what's really funny? I got to say this because like these people like Aliyah, which funny, by the way, when you make Aliyah, it means when you return to Israel. So I don't think she's ever going to get to do that. That's too bad. But these people that like she's talking about how your government is collapsing. It's funny. Your government is collapsing. No, the Israeli government is an actual democracy. When was the last time the Palestinians had an election? You know what? Enjoy that. Enjoy your democracy, Aliyah. Because here's the point. Like, you know what? We talk about, BDS and we talk about the Arabs way too much. The truth of the matter is they're non-factors. The people that are in Palestine that are throwing these little shit fits and trying to be terrorists, it means absolutely nothing. Because you know what? At the end of the day, Israel is a thriving democracy. It is becoming a regional superpower. The main Arab nations are trying to make peace with Israel and basically be in business with them. Meanwhile, these idiots are crying. Look at this. Like, shut up.
A full attack. It's a full attack and onslaught today. They're so hurt today by the Ben and Jerry's. I love it. No, I love it.
It's all good. You know what? He said, shut up, fatty. You know what, buddy? I can lose more weight. You can't lose any more land. Enjoy it. These people, they got to realize, you know what? You're non-factors. You're absolute non-factors.
Oh, my Lord. This is hilarious.
Look, I think it's funny. Look, I think it's funny. Hey, you know what? They're going to have an ample opportunity to see me up close and personal. Come and say that to my chest, buddy, because you'll have a chance.
Ryan. Listen, here's something interesting. Okay, let's get a little bit serious here for a sec. I'm going to open up my phone here for a sec. Okay, so as we were starting the show, I was reading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 people who are going to be participating either as speakers or as entertainment at this Muslim conference. Israel hater, Israel hater, Israel hater, Israel hater, Israel hater, Israel hater, all these people. So this entire Muslim convention is all focused on the Palestinian cause and Jew hatred. Now, in a most recent study done of the Muslim community here in Canada, I didn't do it, wasn't my study. Here are the most important issues facing Muslims today in their community in Canada. Okay, I didn't make this up. This is the Muslims themselves, not for me. Number one, the most important by milestone, is treatment discrimination by the broader community. Number two, interaction between cultures. Number three, division within Islam. Number four, violent extremism and radicalization within Islam. Number five, unemployment. Number six, influence on youth. Number seven, events overseas. Number eight, sex education in schools. I don't see the Palestinian cause anywhere in the top 5 or 6 important issues for the Muslim community within Canada, which suggests you only one thing and one thing only, is that even the Muslim Association of Canada has been overtaken by extremists and by a small group of people who are trying to dictate for the larger community what their most important issues are, when in fact the community has already stated what their important issues are. And this is not going to help their community any. So they can continue to come on our page and do what they're doing, but maybe they need to look internally and look, for this conference, what can they do from their own community and strengthen their own community? Because last time I checked, the Muslim community wasn't only made of Palestinians.
Oh, 100%. Look, it's funny to me because like these people, they come on here and they try to talk trash. First off, they have the intelligence of 3-year-olds. I mean, second off, let's be honest. Like, no, Aliyah, I'm not going to go on a date with you. Stop talking about my appearance. It's not going to happen. I like women. Sorry, my bad. But like the way that they talk, they really think that they're important. I'm loving this. I think it's friggin' hilarious. Like, and yeah, you'll have more than an ample opportunity to come and talk to me at the Muslim conference. So, I mean, I know you'll be busy in there chanting your Jew hate stuff, but maybe you guys might want to talk about stuff that affects the Muslim community. I noticed that at this conference, they don't have a single speaker who is going to be giving the perspective of the people that support the Abraham Accords, which is strange. They don't have they don't have a single speaker that's there that's going to give the actual moderate Muslims perspective. And it's kind of funny to me because, like I know a lot of Muslim people here in Canada and they think people like Ali are ridiculous. They don't want to talk. They don't give a shit about the Palestinians. They want to talk about issues that affect the Muslim community in Canada. Weird. I know it's really weird, but there are actually Muslims in Canada and they do have some concerns.
The Arab world itself is turning its back to the Palestinian cause and the Palestinian people. The Arab world itself is recognizing that their own demise of their own people, the suffering that they have done for the sacrifice that they've made for the Palestinian people has not paid in the 70 years plus that they've been fighting the battle for the Palestinian cause. Has only cost them destruction, unemployment, poverty, and everything else. And that's what they were realizing today, that if you want to be part of the new emerging Middle East, the new superpower hub of the world, which will be the Middle East, if you want to play within that game and play as a participant who's going to benefit, you got to know who the powers are in that area. And everybody understands that Israel was never the problem. The Jews were never the problem. They heard all along the way. The apartheid wall that stood there along the way was an apartheid wall that was actually set up by the Palestinian regime itself, an apartheid wall that prevented the Arab world from having any kind of meaningful relationship with Israel and the Jewish people. Imagine where the Middle East would be today if the Arab people of the Middle East, if the Arab nations of the Middle East would have had this kind of accords, this kind of peace with Israel long ago. Imagine what Lebanon would be today.
Yeah, look, they've
today.
figured it out, Ron. Like they have figured it out now. They understand. Why do you think that the Saudis are trying so hard to make these deals? Why do you think Egypt is making these deals? They're making these deals because they understand. Look, would we rather have a bunch of angry, pitiful children who all they do is complain and try to cause trouble? Or do we want to be allied with a regional superpower that has literally made the desert bloom? Those are your choices, right?
Absolutely.
And I think the Arab world, they figured it out.
There's even talk in Pakistan about reaching out. There was a delegation recently from Pakistan that went to Israel. They're getting some flack in Pakistan, but there's movement there to have normalization with Israel. When these deals happen, when there's going to be normalization deals between Israel, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and there are already with other Arab and Islamic countries, I imagine that some of the speakers at this Muslim Association of Canada, they will be so depressed.
Oh yeah,
They'll
they're
be talking. They'll be talking about that actually in a very depressed tone.
Oh yeah. Look, it's funny because like these people have like a playbook, right? They're gonna drop terms like apartheid, settler colonialist, and the funny part is anybody who even does a bare minimum of research here knows the actual people that push apartheid are literally the Arabs. Why is it that Palestinians that live in Lebanon can't get citizenship? Palestinians in Kuwait can't get citizenship. Guess what? Arabs in Israel can have citizenship. Arabs in Israel are equal citizens under the law.
Every time they call Israel an apartheid state, Israel opens up its borders with Gaza to allow more Gazans to come work in Israel. 2,000, 4,000, 10,000 at a time, because in Gaza there's starvation. So even the Gazan people, the average Gazan wants to come into Israel to earn a decent living, even at minimum wage in Israel, is 10 times better, 100 times better than what he could earn in Gaza working 10 times as hard. So you know what? Aliyah Hassan can sit in Canada in the comfort of her apartment in Toronto or Mississauga or wherever she resides, and have the freedom and the pleasure of a democratic country like Canada to allow her to spew her hate and to walk around and to do a walk against Israel and to pretend that she's some kind of something. Where in reality, the people in Gaza don't give two hoots and two shits about who she is and what she does. They want to wake up in the morning. They want to be able to go across the border into Israel. They want to be able to pick the fruits. They want to be able to build the buildings. They want to be able to participate in the infrastructure. They want to be able to get their shekels, their Israeli dollars, their shekels, so they can bring them back into Gaza so they can support their family, make sure the daughter gets their treatment, their son can buy the shoes he needs, the wife can get the food she needs to put on the table, their mother can get the medication she needs. That's what they care about. They don't care about Aliyah Hassan marching in Toronto against the Israel walk. It's so
look at their
pathetic.
Biggest successes, right? Like look at their biggest successes. They managed to close SodaStream. What did they do? They cost a whole bunch of Palestinians their decent paying jobs. Like good work, you guys. So no, you know what? I don't even want to talk about these idiots.
Any success that the BDS might have had is marginal at best. And if you look at the people that my father always said to me, look at the people you surround yourself with, and you'll know something about yourself. So when you look at who the BDS surrounds themselves with and the type of people that they attract, it's like attracting a moth to a light. So attract those people to the light, no problem. Take them to your side. Israel's going nowhere. Israel's becoming a strong and stronger partner in the Middle East, a strong and stronger partner in Europe. Just signed a gas deal with Europe and with Egypt that not only provides natural gas to Europe, but actually provides natural gas to Lebanon.
Yeah, you know what? Sorry, I got to cut you off. We got to talk about this. This moron literally just said, we have the mapping project, right? Like, this is the kind of mentality we're dealing with, right? She thinks it's a good thing that they're making a list and a map with Jewish organizations and Jewish leaders on it. They don't see anything wrong with that. And another one here said, can't wait to see Jaja. I guarantee you, he probably can't wait to see you. I can't wait to see you, but we both know you're not going to come talk to me.
Ryan, let me just cut in here. Okay, whoever this guy is, the weed Awan, can't wait to see. Listen, you want to meet someone, you can meet me. Okay, that's it. Really. Enough with the bullshit. Go ahead. Go on, Ryan.
Let's just ignore these idiots. Let's talk about this conference, because you know what? This conference is literally riddled with anti-Semites, right? They're not hiding it. And even somebody like me who has been very open about the fact that I do believe that Muslim Canadians have some issues, like every other group of people in Canada. Lots of us have issues in our communities. They're not all just Canada's fault. Some of them are issues within our own communities. But these people, they don't seem to understand. The more you talk smack, and the more you try to be like an internet badass like these clowns, the more we're going to laugh at you. Like, they're not affecting anything. They're not impacting anything. This conference is bad. Let's be honest. This conference is disgusting. The fact that the government hasn't shut it down, the fact that they're even allowed to have it, it's pretty gross. But we're going to shine a light on it. We're not hiding from you people. We're not scared of you. We're going to be there, and we're going to take pictures, and we're going to show people what you people really are. And that's human garbage. Bottom line. So I'm gonna have so much fun doing this because they're all talking so much smack about how people had to be escorted to their car. I guarantee you, I'm not gonna need to be escorted anywhere. So let's see what they got.
Again, I have to, I've been involved in many conferences in the Jewish community, both here in Winnipeg and nationally. I have to tell you that in our agendas, never has the Palestinian issue been anything on any piece of paper that I've ever participated in any agenda. You know what things we talk about when we get into national meetings? How do we strengthen our communities? How do we help the needy? How do we bring more programming to youth? How do we make sure that more people stay within Judaism? How do we bring more people back into our communities? Those are the things that are important to us. And we bring speakers that speak to those issues, to those causes, to strengthen the community and bring it together. Bringing a bunch of speakers to speak of hate only shows of who you are and what your agenda is. Your agenda is not about your own community. You'd rather burn your house down, if it meant that you could somehow, have an opportunity to claim, some kind of victory. It's like somebody who's drowning, and as they're drowning, they're pushing everybody else down to try and get another breath of fresh air. And that's what all these, people are doing when they're commenting here. It's trying to push somebody down to get another breath of fresh air. This reminds me of what my kids show me when they're on TikTok or when they're on whatever, and they're going back and forth with their friends, playing games, calling each other names, and bantering back and forth. I mean, these are literally adults with children acting like they're no more than kindergarten children. I mean, but this is important for people who see this show to see and understand that these are the people that you're dealing with. And with this type of people, common sense and trying to come to a middle ground and understanding doesn't work. Because when this is what they put out, when this is the discourse, when this is the dialogue, there is no place for dialogue with these people. And then what needs to be done is a light needs to be shined on these people to make sure that you keep them way down there in the corner where the cockroaches exist, to make sure that they don't fester and populate and become the majority of their people. And what I have to say, when I read that survey about what is important to the Muslim community, I can guarantee you that when people in the Muslim community who care about their community are reading that these are the headliners, they're not showing up to the conference. Showing up to the conference, the haters themselves, because the people who care about their community are staying away from this kind of crap.
Oh, yeah. Look, it's funny. Like, these people talk so much trash, and literally all they do is expose themselves. Yeah. That's literally what they do. So, I mean, I think it's kind of humorous to me. Like, they're coming on the show. You know what? I'm going to issue an open challenge, Aliyah. You can tell any of your little idiot friends, you want to have a public debate, name the time and the place. We can debate whatever you want. We'll do it in public. Nothing will get edited. We'll put it online, and we'll see which one of us comes out looking stupid. Because to be quite frank, I know that my side's right. I know that we're the good guys. You people push your hatred. You push your nonsense. You talk trash about everybody. You make up lies, and you think that nobody's going to be smart enough to be able to refute it. So guess what? I'm here. I'm in Toronto right now. You want to have a debate? Name the time and the place.
It's funny that people, that have zero credibility, that have done nothing in their lives, are sitting there, trying to tell somebody of the magnitude of Mayor, that he has zero credibility. When Mayor just went through his curriculum vitae, through his credentials, right at the beginning of his fight against Nazism and standing up to neo-Nazis, in Canada, and the things that he accomplished for the Jewish community, to somebody to say that he has zero credibility and just,
Oh, I know, it's mind-boggling.
Even to
Mayor was fighting terrorists and Nazis while these idiots were still on the boob. Like these idiots, they have. There's nothing. Look, she just said JDL is a terror organization. Hey, newsflash, dummy. JDL in Canada was never a terrorist organization. Was never listed as a terror organization. So I mean, you can take your nonsense and shove it. Like I said, the challenge is open. I'm not going to bother with you anymore. I'm not even going to mention you. I'm not even going to look at your crap because you'll be able to see me at the conference. You want to come up and yell in my face? It's all good because we'll have cameras there and you're going to look like an idiot.
Maybe they need to go and look for that olive tree that they claim is the oldest olive tree in the world. That actually is in
Yeah.
Cyprus or in Greece or somewhere, not even in anywhere near, or in Israel.
Exactly. Or they
Actually,
can go on the Palestinian tourism website where it talks about their 2 million years of presence in the land, right? Like these people, they're so ridiculous.
let's
talk about this.
But these people are no different than what you're going to see in the at the conference. The people in the conference just are a little bit more refined maybe in their wording and the way they talk and speak. But these guys might be coarse, and those guys are more refined. But what you're saying here is exactly the same as what you're going to see at the conference. So I don't think I don't think ignoring this necessarily is what needs to be done.
No, but my dad has a saying: same shit, different pile, right?
Yeah.
These people, a terrorist in a suit and a terrorist behind a keyboard is still a terrorist.
I wonder if our doctor in the studio has a little video of maybe some of the speakers again from this conference. Antisemitism, or
could Aliyah maybe tell us who she's planning on going to see? Can Aliyah maybe let us know who she's planning to go and see out of the? So maybe we can go through the list again, and then Aliyah can let us know who her favorite out of these speakers are, and then we can focus on those for her.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That'd be awesome. Why don't you tell? Yeah, Leo. Why don't you tell us who your favorite speaker is going to be?
Who are they? Who
is
are
it? The guy that talks about Jews being apes and pigs, or is it the guy that wants an intifada in Canada? I mean, feel free to tell us. We're here to listen.
Is it the sheikh who's against homosexuality? Like, which one is it that you really are eager to go and hear them, and learn from them and educate yourself so that you could be a better hater?
Yeah. Because I mean, clearly they're there for to discuss what the issues of the Muslim community.
Well, the starving people in Afghanistan after the multiple earthquakes. I mean, I'm sure that's on the top of the agenda. How can we support them? The people in Yemen who are in a war that they didn't cause to themselves, caused by terrorists. Actually, there, will there be maybe a discussion about that? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe, maybe about how what's happening in Iraq, the rebuilding of Iraq. The current, atmosphere in Iraq, the problems, the issues there. And I'm just saying, there's some issues. Maybe women's rights in Iran, the rights of homosexuals. And I don't know. There's so many topics that could be
maybe they want to talk about the positive contribution Hezbollah is making to Lebanon to the rebuilding of.
Let's talk about
through the sales of drugs and prostitution. Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. You will be met with resistance, and we will enjoy watching you. Need to be escorted away by police again. Oh.
The best part about this is they're sitting in their little basement right now, moving our names up their angry people list.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're sitting here laughing because they are beyond ridiculous. Let's be honest. These people are. You know what? I feel about as threatened right now as I feel like if I was in a party full of angry toddlers. Like I would probably be in more danger from the angry toddlers.
Oh my Lord! This is just too funny.
The dialogue is similar to when I confront Zundel and his followers. The same thing, same kind of anti-Semitism. Just move the terms around a little bit. Same thing. Yeah. I've seen it.
Listen,
I've gone through it.
If any of these guys on here are anything like Firaz al-Najim, who always looks behind his back every 2 seconds out of fear that somebody is there, like who's looking when I'm making my video, then nothing to worry about. Oh, he tried to run me over. Yeah, okay, yeah, we're afraid. We'll see you.
Yeah.
Ridiculous people. I'm telling you, this is the best fun I've had on your show, Mayor.
If you can't have a good time when you're involved as an activist, then what's the point of doing it?
I want to ask the doctor if there's any chance. That one of the next shows coming up, we could do like, David Letterman used to have this thing where people would come and read tweets that were said about them. They were like negative tweets. Maybe next, one of these shows, we can all take turns reading some of their tweets in accents.
I'd love to.
See how much fun we can have with that.
I'm going to try to find the very short video, which is the public relations video for the university, in quotation marks, in California that Hapazian is one of the founders of. And I'll find it. I'm going to be looking for it in my files. And I think you and the audience would enjoy it. So keep chatting. As soon as I have
I remember that one.
Okay.
Yeah, these people, it's funny because, Hatem Bazian, he was removed from a Peace and Justice Commission in Berkeley for being too anti-Semitic in Berkeley. So, I mean, it kind of tells you everything you need to know about the guy. I mean, let's be honest. These people are pathetic. But I don't know. I don't want to waste. I'll be honest with you. I don't really feel like wasting a lot of time with these idiots. It's fun to make fun of them because they are kind of useless losers. But
I thought Aliyah was leaving, but she just can't leave. She's so infatuated with this.
I told you, dude. She wants me. She wants me to ask her out. She's desperate for me to ask her out, and I'm not going to.
Mayor, these are the leaders of the BDS movement in Canada. Just so we all understand, even our audience here understands. Right. These would be the people that would lead the chanting and the marching down the streets of Toronto. Really strong people when they have 1,000 people behind them marching with them. I'd like to see Aliyah and Firaz march down the street by themselves, coming to the Jewish community by yourselves, you tough people.
Yeah.
They came to the Jewish community when there was the Walk for Israel and burned Israeli flags. Yeah, normal.
Yeah. Very normal behavior. Because that's what we do in the Walk for Israel. At the culmination of the Walk for Israel, we burn Palestinian flags. I mean, that's the tradition. So why not? I mean, it's so idiotic, this burning of flags. Like the satisfaction they get out of it. It's almost like when somebody chops the head of a chicken, in a frenzy of some evil. It reminds me of the hands you so full of the blood, when they butchered alive the poor soldiers that took a wrong turn and entered the Palestinian. That's what it reminds me when they burn the flag and you see that zealousness in their eyes, that salvation in their mouth, like what?
I wonder what's going through their heads today when Ben and Jerry's reversed their boycott nonsense.
Well, and the fact that they had to, that's what really
maybe these BDSers they're gonna boycott Ben and Jerry's now.
That'd be awesome if they did.
I wonder if they're gonna call for a boycott of the Euro Under-19 championship game between Israel and England. I don't know if you heard.
They will.
But the Israeli Under-19 men's soccer team actually made it all the way to the championship game in the European Championship, which is an unbelievable achievement. So we'll wait to see when they are going to call for that game to be suspended. And even though there's our players, play on the team, but that's secondary, to an apartheid state. It doesn't go well with that whole apartheid state mentality.
Listen, there was a Miss Universe contest that was in Eilat. They were very upset that it happened. It happened. People came to Eilat. Thousands of people. Millions watched it on the screen. Supportive. That's what's going on with Israel. Everyone's going to Israel. Everyone wants to be there. Everybody loves it in Israel.
Hey, you guys remember that time? You remember that time when the Palestinians had their state? Yeah, me neither.
No. Sorry. Yeah, I remember when you visited the
sort of
Museum
like
for
when they say
Palestinian
Jesus
History.
was a Palestinian.
Yeah, exactly.
The Museum for Palestinian History. Have you visited it lately?
It's empty.
There's nothing there.
No, nothing there, so they haven't built it yet. First you have to have a history in order. But seriously, all kidding aside, that recently Israel has been changing the part of the wall, the separation wall along the Judea and Samaria. It used to be just a fence. Right. And now Israel is changing it into these 12-meter high, 2-meter wide cement blocks.
That's what happens.
And that's what happens.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay, so you know where I was going with that, Ryan. So before they all scream and yell, look at what the apartheid wall they're building. No, Israel was very happy with the rudimentary fencing that we had there. But then you know what? The Palestinians said, let's go through that fencing and let's butcher Jews and let's butcher them again, and we'll butcher them again, and we'll butcher them again. And then when Israel finally will say, we've had enough of you butchering us through these fences, that we allowed to stay here because we want to allow your farmers to gain access to their farmland and give you more freedom of movement. Now we're going to have to erect these big cement walls to prevent you from cutting through those. But now they're going to come and scream, that this is some kind of an apartheid, wall. So
yeah, no, look, they're going to
I've
get.
seen a lot of that on Highway 6 in Israel. I've seen a lot of that where the fence is all screwed up. So obviously they're going to make adjustments because it's been through there, not only through there, but it's been through there where some of these terrorists have entered. And you see the fence is all mangled up. So yeah, they have to make that correction. And
yeah, look, the simple truth is they're getting.
Mary, if I may,
they want a state, but what they're going to get is a big fucking fence, and they're going to be stuck in their little area, and they can cry about it all they want. But I mean, if you can't act like adults, if you can't act like decent human beings, then you're going to get stuck in the corner. And guess what? Yes, they can put baby in the corner. So enjoy.
Aliyah, Aliyah is telling Jennifer that Islamophobia is being documented, which makes me laugh all the time. They always document everything that we do. In the meantime, all the anti-Semitism that Aliyah spewed on here, that's
being documented.
So. That's I find these people just way too funny. It's a comedy show. It's so pathetic. It's if for every time they told me that the end of Israel is near, I could get $1, I wouldn't have to work anymore. I'd be a millionaire for every time they told me this is it, the end is coming, the walls are falling down.
Hey, you'd be almost as rich as Yasser Arafat with all the money he stole.
Yeah, with the billions of dollars, or Abbas for that matter. Mahmoud Abbas, with his billions that he's got. What anti-Semitism? Oh, I guess we have to give him an education on anti-Semitism one of these days. Wait, if we use the IHRA definition, will they tell us that we're being, Islamophobic?
the worst anti-Semitism today is the.
There you go. There you go.
That's it, because everyone considers themselves to be an anti-Zionist, denying the Jewish people the right to sovereignty in our historic homeland, just like the Bible says, is an anti-Semite. I mean, that's how it is. I
like how they dictate also what anti-Semitism is. It's like the rapist dictating what a rape is. The murderer dictating what a murder is. The hater, the anti-Semite, is going to sit there and try to tell you, the Jew, what anti-Semitism is or isn't, or what the equivalent. But then they're going to cry Islamophobia on the other side and tell you, how dare you tell me what Islamophobia is or isn't. So it's okay for them to
really
dictate to you.
What it comes down to,
for you.
in a nutshell, is that the existence of the Jewish people is the wrench into Islam and into Christianity. Now, a lot of people from Christianity after the Holocaust apologized to the Jewish people. But the church was so full of anti-Semitism because if the Jews say, no, we don't believe in Jesus, we don't believe Jesus was the Messiah or anything like that, then they can't stand that. They want the Jews to legitimize. They wanted the Jews to legitimize for 2,000 years.
I need to be clear. Sorry, Mayor. I wasn't laughing at what you were saying. I'm reading this while you're talking. And she said, we're the real Semites. You're the one being anti-Semitic.
Yeah, well, the word is anti-Semitism that was invented in Germany to be an acceptable form to hate Jews. We didn't invent the word. It's not a hyphenated word. The word was invented in Germany. Look it up in a dictionary, anywhere. That's
the word never existed before the Holocaust. The word was derived by the Germans pre-Holocaust, late right in the beginning of the 19th century, 1920s or so, where Jew hatred, which is what the original term in German would have been, was not palatable enough for people. But if you could use a scientific term, if you could make it sound like something that's, it's some science, it would be more palatable for people to, and that's where anti-Semitism came from. It was never hyphenated. The hyphen was created by anti-Semites themselves to try to break the word down between anti and Semitic.
You know what, Ron? I don't give a shit. These people are anti-Semites. They know they're anti-Semites. They're not Semites. They share a Semitic language, but nobody's ever used the term anti-Semitism in the context of including Arabs, because the truth of the matter is a lot of Arabs are incredibly anti-Semitic. And that's just the truth of it.
Yeah.
Now, they're going to try and say that I'm being anti-Arab by saying that. The simple truth of the matter is, who are all these people that are coming to this conference that are going to be openly spreading anti-Semitism at a Muslim conference? I would gamble and say, at least half of them are Arabs. So why is that? Why are they so anti-Semitic? Maybe Aliyah can tell us. Right. Why is it so important for them to spread this anti-Semitism? Why is it so important that instead of talking about the actual issues impacting Muslim Canadian communities, you want to try and turn this into a hate Jews event? I mean, feel free to tell us. We're really curious. I'd rather talk about that than all this other stuff. I don't need a fucking history lesson. I'd rather hear from her.
Break and talk a little more about Hatam Bazian. I found a short clip of him giving a very pep talk in San Francisco. And then you guys comment on that. Then I'll bring up a video of Zaytuna College, which he's the founder of. It's just a short little information video to market it to people out in the audience who may want to decide where not to send their children to college. So first of all, here's Hatam, University of San Francisco. Take it away.
Can't wait.
Are you angry? Are you angry? Are you angry? Well, we've been watching Intifada in Palestine. We've been watching an uprising in Iraq. And the question is that what are we doing? How come we don't have an Intifada in this country? Because it seemed to me that we are comfortable in where we are, watching CNN, ABC, NBC, Fox, and all these mainstream, giving us a window to the world, while the world is being managed from Washington, from New York, from every other place in here in San Francisco, Chevron, Bechtel, Tally Group, Halberton, every one of those lying, cheating, stealing, deceiving individuals are in our country, and we're sitting here and watching the world pass by, people being bombed, and it's about time that we have an intifada in this country that change fundamentally the political dynamics in here. And we know they're going to say it's the Palestinian being too radical. We haven't seen radicalism yet.
Okay, guys, take it away. And in a few moments, I'll do a little marketing video for the university. I think it's called the Tuna or something. I guess they tuna fish out there. Guys, so what do you think about a little commentary we just had from one of the guest speakers who's going to be the impression on the Palestinian youth of Canada?
Before you go, does the university have
listen, they're inviting kids to come to this conference. It's very serious. I could see that the level of anti-Semitism is going to be increasing because of this conference.
Yep. I think it's funny. Like, look, we were reading the comments and they're talking about how, like real Jews don't support Israel. It's interesting that they would say that, considering what is it, 90% in that poll that showed that 90% of Jews believe that Israel is the ancestral home of the Jewish people. So I don't know where she's getting her numbers from. I know that she hangs out with like Netarite Karta and cultists, but maybe she should actually talk to actual Jewish people. It might be good for her.
There's 7 million Jews living in Israel right now, and it's growing. And according to many leading rabbis in the United States, Orthodox rabbis, they're saying, even at a major conference recently, at a dinner for the Mir Yeshiva, now that's a major yeshiva that's in Israel, the United States, for the yeshiva, a month ago, that he believes within the next 15 years, 75% of Orthodox Jews from the United States are going to be moving to Israel. Now that's incredible. Now, it's a vibrant community in the United States, the Orthodox community. When they come, the Jewish identity will be even stronger in Israelness. But when you have right now over 7 million, going to be potentially like 8.5 million or more, growing in the business psyche and everything that's going in the trajectory for Israel of being incredibly successful Jewish state, hello, in their hate, in their corners, they're going to be crying at the success of Israel and, the Arab territories. And, some of them are going to have to make public statements to forsake and condemn the BDS, and they want to come into Israel and work. And, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. There's no question about it. But Israel is a major success. The GDP right now is close to 450 billion. And it's with the tech deals for the European Union and the Abraham Accords. Within this year, by the end of the year, it's going to surpass $1 trillion, and it's growing and growing. The GDP of Canada is about 1.7, I believe. So Israel doesn't have the same population as Canada at all. It's like Canada is about 4 times the population of Israel.
Yeah.
And the landmass of Canada compared to tiny, like the size of New Jersey. The brain power in Israel is, when you look at these deals, the GDP eventually will surpass the GDP of a country like Canada, which is going to happen. And the credit of the Jews in Israel and their natural allies, that was this miracle of the ages, will feel the success and bask in the sunshine of that success. It's unbelievable. Wait to get back there. I'll be back there in September. And podcast, I will be highlighting the success in Israel. I'll be going to parts of the country, showing all kinds of unbelievable things. The gas deals, I'll go to, and I'll interview people in Haifa to show experts area where they're drilling from off the coast in Haifa. Now, it's far away, from probably 100 kilometers or something off the coast. But I'll have experts in Haifa, and we'll talk about it. We'll go to show the construction industry and the high-tech industry in Israel, and just all kinds of points of Israel. And not only that, I see a change happening to the so-called status quo amount at all. As more and more Jews are visiting, there's got to be and there's a little bit of discussions going on too, that the deal that Israel has worked out with Jordanian Waqf assists with security on the Temple Mount, and they were absolutely horrible during Ramadan when those Hamas riots were going on. The deals that Israel is working on with Saudi Arabia, if you would have Saudi involvement in place of the Jordanian Waqf on the Temple Mount, to the Saudis, Mecca and Medina are important, not there. So I could see a lot of change happening, which would be very interesting, very historic. We're living the BS. They're like dandruff. It's just like Ben and Jerry's. They sucked it up finally. They realized they're complete idiots by taking a stand against Israel. Hypocrites all across the board. Nothing moral to stand on. No truth, no foundation there. There's no foundation with the BDS. They're on the wrong side. They're just anti-Semitic idiots, complete goofs. That's what they are.
Only delusional people would claim victory in a war where half of a city, half of Beirut was demolished, destroyed, brought down to rubble. Lebanon was brought back, about, 50 to 70 years. Only fools would try to claim somehow that a war like that was a victory, let alone try to believe that in any kind of a follow-up confrontation in the future, that somehow, Hezbollah would be somehow stronger or more victorious to be able to unleash, more destruction on Israel, which is just ludicrous. I lived in Metula, right on the border with Lebanon. Metula has been there since 1897, I believe, one of the earliest Jewish establishments in the state of Israel. Metula has never fallen in the hands of anybody. It's ludicrous for them to think that, that a country that has less than 4 hours of electricity a day right now, where people are standing in lines for days to get a little bit of gasoline in their cars, where they can't get medicines for their children, will have any kind of an opportunity or a chance, to mount any kind of a victory against, a country as powerful and as strong right now in the Middle East as Israel is. And if who they depend on is Iran, Israel has already sent a very clear message to Iran, both in Syria and in Iran proper, that we're not playing any games. Lastly, in Damascus, when Israel bombed the Damascus, the airport in Damascus, not only, bunkers or some areas where they were keeping weapons, but this time the runways and the important buildings where the Iranians are coming in from, it was to send a clear message both to Iran, to Hezbollah, and to everybody that Israel is not playing games, whether it's a left-leaning government, a right-leaning government, a central-leaning government, a coalition with Arab members, a coalition without Arab members. Israel's safety and security will never be something that to be compromised with. And, and if you want to play with fire, eventually you get burned. And that's just the case. I mean, you can see right now the cyber war that's going between Israel and Iran, and it's all picking up towards the final negotiation status between the Iranians and the Americans and the Russians and some of the other players regarding the nuclear program in Iran. And I believe that we'll all wake up one day to the news that Israel has bombed the nuclear facilities in Iran, but that's going to be the only solution, because if we're going to wait for the UN to do the work for us, it's never going to get done. And Aliyah is not going to like that.
We're running a little bit over the hour. I think we should,
if
there's a video to be shown. Yep, Ryan has to.
I'm going to show the video, but Ryan has to check out, so we're going to let him make a final comment, then he'll leave, then I'll show the video. Then everybody else can make their closing comments. Ryan, I'm going to get you on the screen in a second so you can make your closing comment.
Alrighty. Yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, these people that have been here this evening, I think it's funny. I mean, they're ridiculous, and everybody gets to see how ridiculous they are. The best disinfectant is sunlight. Oh yeah, bye Sasquatch. It's okay, Aliyah. Call me. I'll hook you up. All right. Like I said, we've got all these idiots here, and they're mouthing off. The truth is, they know they're the bad guys. They're not that stupid. I mean, listen to what they say. They know, and we've seen this throughout history. Look at every group of people who set themselves against the Jewish people. Every single one of them. Where are they now? They're in the dustbin of history. Nobody remembers them. Nobody cares. Aliyah, have fun in the dustbin, honey. I'll see you at the conference, Habibi.
Okay, and from Ryan, closing comment.
Perfect.
Is in honor of the Muslim Association of Canada's annual meeting, we're going to give a special today, BOGO, buy one, get one. Today only, free Palestine with the purchase of any item from Formula 11. If you can find anything of lesser value, unlikely. That was
What's the warranty? What's the warranty?
Give Ryan the credit or the blame, because he inspired me. I'm going to show a video now, a walking video of where not to send your children to college.
Stay safe, fellas.
See you later.
Gosh.
Great.
See you later, Ryan. That was great.
Okay, so we're going to present a special right now. We're going to present Zaytuna College. And we'll notice the building. I was looking at the building and I'm thinking to myself, where have I seen that building before? And then I thought back, they can't even make an original building.
Forgotten year for Zaytuna College. A year made possible by the generosity and prayers of our donors and supporters. Your investment ensures the continuing cultivation of bright young minds in both our undergraduate and now our graduate programs. Please make your generous year-end financial gift to Zaytuna College today.
So what is Zaytuna College anyway? Well, there it is. There's the nice building. It's quite nice. It's in the hills of Beverly Hills, of all places. If you want to do a tour of the facility before you send your children there, that's where it is. That's some of the students and alumni located in the hilltops of Berkeley Hills with luscious acreage, gardens, several buildings, dormitories, and of course, a shooting range for the one sport they offer, compound bow training. That's it. There's no football. Nope. There's no basketball. There's archery. And they only offer one accredited. This is a fact. You can check this. They have one accredited degree, a bachelor's degree in Islamic law and theology. They were unable to get accreditation for any degrees in math or science or cooking.
But do you really need any other degree?
No.
Really?
I mean, that's it.
I mean, really? I mean, between the archery and that degree, you're set for life, my friend. I mean, who wouldn't want to hire you?
Time for a quick break. I don't know about you, but that's long enough. Any comments before the quick break? So there it is, Daytona College. Break time's over. Back to work.
What's the admission?
Now you notice there's two buildings, right? You see the two buildings? Now
Yes.
watch closely as I reminisce that's Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. I mean, is not that the same building? I mean, it's mind-boggling that they couldn't even come up with original architectural design. And by the way, the original X-Men comics created by Stan Lee, born Stanley Martin Lieber, was the son of Romanian Jewish immigrants, and Jack Kirby is the son of Austrian Jewish immigrants who started the X-Men. And they also created X-Men, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Thor, the Hulk, Ant-Man, the Wasp. I think we could battle against the Palestinian terrorists. We got enough of these people on the side, including Black Panther. And of course, the X-Men character endured Nazi atrocities in Auschwitz where his parents perished, if you read the backstory. So I hope that all you Jew haters out there love the X-Men or boycott it, whatever you so choose. Here's from the original comics. So back to Zaytuna College. Some sources suggest that Magneto was inspired by the character of none other than anybody want to take a wild guess? Coming. Here it comes. Tick Tock by Mayor Kahane was the inspiration for Magneto.
How dare you say that?
I know. We're going to get blocked now on like Twitter or YouTube because you mentioned the dirty word, Kahane. Kahane in Spanish is cojones. Same word. Okay, so back to Zaytuna College. There's the archery in the foothills. There's the alumni. So I wonder who started this university. There they are. The founding fathers of Zaytuna College. They consist of course, Hamza Youssef, Zaid Shakir, and none other than Haydam Bazian. You got to love him or hate him. That's what I always say. So first we had Hamza Youssef, one of the three founders. He's actually American, and while he was he decided to convert to Islam while he was studying at the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Africa. Does he realize that UAE is now friends of Israel? America is a country that is little to be proud of its past and less to be proud of in its present. I'm a citizen of this country not by choice but by birth. So leave the country. You have a choice. Go move to Gaza. But his reason for being here is to spread the message of Islam. And he refers to Judaism as the most racist religion. Again, this is one of the three founders. There was a movie, I think, called Three Amigos. I think that might be about them. And then we've got Zaid Shakir, not to be confused with Shakir O'Neal. He needs, we should have a jihad, use weaponry against the enemies of Islam. And he hopes one day the United States will be a Muslim country ruled by Islamic law.
By weaponry, he means archery?
Go ahead, Ron.
But by weaponry, he means archery. That's why they take archery at the university. I'm just trying to tie the knots together there, the dots.
Of course, Hezbollah's bombing of the Marine barracks was not an act of terrorism.
No.
No, he seems nice.
Harry Potter.
So we can compare two universities based on religion. We have of course, one we just talked about, the Tuna College, and we have Yeshiva University. So let's do a little comparative analysis.
Ooh.
Yeshiva University has 34 undergraduate degrees which are accredited, 25 graduate degrees which are accredited. They don't teach Sharia law, or they do teach the history of Sharia law. They also have a medical school, a law school. They don't teach archery, but they do teach basketball. And in fact, Yeshiva University has the world all-time record for the most undefeated games in a row, 50 games undefeated. And they do have a graduate who is now looking at NBA, who will become the first ultra-Orthodox observant NBA basketball player. So here they are. That's Yeshiva. It's kind of like when they talk about the occupation, the Jewish occupation. To me, Jewish occupations are doctors, lawyers, accountants, musicians. So I don't know why anybody has a problem with the Jewish occupation.
This has all been screenshots. Sorry.
So back to you, Mayor.
Oh my gosh, I can't keep up with the lunacy on the chat. It is just too funny. Well,
what can you do?
I see that Firaz joined us now too, which is always nice to see that he jumps in as well. He knew his name. Somebody called him, said they mentioned your name. You better jump on. I hope they show up I hope they show up to every show. Mayor, between you and me, I hope they show up to every show. They make it more lively. They bring a certain level, of liveliness to the show. Ridiculous people.
Kind of bored. Yeah, come on. Whatever.
Oh,
anyways,
Lord.
it doesn't listen, I see the success in the BS. Like I said, it's dandruff, and really it's a failed movement, and it's an anti-Semitic cause. That's what it is. Israel's successful. Ben and Jerry's admitted today, reversed their position. There's going to be a lot more of that going on. And just the deals that Israel's making right now, Arab countries and Islamic countries.
The world,
it's unbelievable. We want to reach out to Arabs and Muslims, followers of Islam, that want to be part of these agreements going on under the Abraham Accords. Want to get along with them, reject the hate. If you're part of the Muslim Brotherhood or a supporter of Iran, radical Iran, then obviously you're going to be on the side that's going to hate Jews and deny our right. But there's a movement of change coming from, like I said, a variety of Islamic and Arab countries. And we're reaching out to those that want to be part of that change.
The train has left the station. Like I said at the beginning, the new modern Middle East and the way it's shaping up and the way it's looking, that train has left the station. And the Palestinians, unfortunately, have chosen to leave themselves again off that train, and with the hope that their Arab brethren will somehow save them yet again. But I think, as I said before, the Arab world is waking up and coming to realize that if they want to progress and move into the 21st century, if they want to bring prosperity to their nations and to their people, as they read the map and they understand that oil is going to be something that, in the near future is going to be something that we're going to be less reliant on, and they're going to have to find other sources and other resources to allow their people to flourish. They understand that they need to participate and be part of a Middle East that is looking at strength. And when you look at strength, Israel is that country. And I'm not just talking about strength in relations to army and military power. I'm talking about strength when it comes to know-how, to startup nation, to intellect, to the ability to make the make the desert bloom, agriculture, medicine. No matter where you look, there's a hand and a touch of Israel in everything nowadays, and nothing in the world nowadays pretty much functions without some kind of Israeli ingenuity and somewhere along the line. And so you can continue being part of the BDS movement. You can continue to march against Israel every summer. You can continue to come on the show and, give us entertainment on the side. If that's the best you have, if that's the best that you can bring out, you know what, the BDS movement has lost miserably. And if their best people on the front, if their best ambassadors are people by the name of Aliyah Hassan and Firaz al-Najim in Canada, then they really have lost greatly. And you know what, just before I finish, Mayor, you know, they keep on saying that, yeah, maybe Unilever, went negated on its original decision to pull out of Israel, but Ben and Jerry's are still saying they stand firmly behind it. You know, what's the worth of that paper? It's worth nothing, because Unilever has told you exactly what to do, and you're doing exactly what you're told to do. So you can come out with whatever statement you want to try and save face, but in the end of the day, you weren't able to persuade people that anti-Semitism is the road to go. And I think, you know, the billions of dollars lost by Unilever is a lesson to be learned by many other companies out there who are thinking of following in the footsteps of Unilever and trying to use BDS and anti-Semitism as a way of trying to punch and hurt the Jewish people.
Yep. Well, anyways, listen, Ron, you know, bottom line of this conference, we got a lot of people who are going inside.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's very important. And
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
And we'll know exactly what he said. Yeah.
You know,
it's important to monitor this.
We're going there just to have proper conversations to point out the importance of the Abraham Accords. And that's what the focus or a certain element of the conference should be devoted to reaching out with normalization, getting along with the Jewish community. I mean, here we are in Canada. We should all be trying to get along. And, you know, if you have people coming in saying that Israel has no right to exist and comparing Jews, we went through enough. You know, we're there conversations and to try to change people's thinking, to think properly. And I think we're going to be extremely successful.
I believe so as well, Mary. Listen, we're always about communication and talking and reaching out, you know, on the one hand, but we don't do it with quivering knees and with fear in us. You know, we do it from a place of strength and a place of resolution. You know, so anybody who wants to have a conversation, have a dialogue, and have some kind of a common understanding and find a middle ground, we're always welcoming it. But anybody who wants to come and look for a confrontation, we're prepared for that as well. We've never looked for the confrontation. We've never thought out the confrontation. But if you want to bring the confrontation, we're not going to back down either. That's, you know, the two parts of what being a true Zionist is, you know, you want to be there to talk and be able to have some common ground. But at the end of the day, we're not going to waver from our belief on the right of the Jewish people to their homeland and their ancestral homeland, which is the state of Israel. And Jerusalem is our capital. That will never change. And that doesn't make a difference if you're, you know, I think, you know, as the government, last government showed, whether you're a centrist party or whether you're a right-wing party, the answer is the same. Jerusalem will never be divided. You know, even Labor came out with that and said that will never happen.
Yeah, I wonder,
you know,
what would be the reaction at this conference? Ron, like out loud, what would be the reaction at this conference? You know, if they would appreciate this, if some people ripping up Hamas flags there, you know, just a thought, you know. Some people have asked me.
I mean, it would cause.
We'll leave that for a conversation.
It would cause a near riot.
Interesting.
But it's an interest. But you know,
maybe
for them they see nothing wrong.
Hopefully, there's people there who are us.
Imagine the screaming and yelling that would happen by the group of people here. You know, if a Palestinian flag was ever burnt by a group of Jewish people, imagine the outcry the next day by the so-called, you know, pro-Palestinian community and by the Muslim community. Where was the outcry when, you know, when Israeli flags were being burnt? Nothing. Not a word. Not an iota. And I'm not calling for the burning of Palestinian flags. I'm just trying to make the comparison. You know, how they burn Israeli flags with no two thoughts about it, where we as Israelis understand, you know, the importance of the flag. we won't do such things.
Yeah. That's it. So I could say, we're calm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Interesting days ahead of us, Mayor.
Just want to talk to people.
I just want to talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just want to hear you out, and
listen,
you want to let you know where we stand.
Like I said, I just came back from Israel, and I see the miracle there and the success there. It's unbelievable. It's only getting. It's incredible. I come back here, I see this PDS. God, ridiculous.
I would like to,
unless our doctor in the studio has another clip to show. We can wrap it up because
yeah, let's wrap it up. I'll play a song from the airport in Israel. Let me get rid of this.
Doctor in the studio is trying to say something.
Hold that there. Get rid of that. And okay, guys. So this is an airport, and I'd like our audience to guess: is this the Arafat Airport in Gaza, or is this the Israeli airport? Oh, that's right. There is no more airports. That there was one because the Gazans are too busy blowing themselves up. So anyway, here's a little music, and then I'll have you guys make a final comment before we play Hatikva.
הבאנו שלום, הבאנו שלום, הבאנו שלום.
Okay, Merrick, some closing words, and then Ron, then we'll put on Hatikva.
Listen, closing words. This conference starts on Friday. We're on top of it, and we've listed a number of speakers. Certainly not every speaker we have listed, but there's so many there that have said either just vile attacks against Jews and Israel and Zion. Our right to have Israel exist as a Jewish state there. It's the organization is a charitable organization in Canada, in fact, and you know, it's possible that inviting certain speakers there could violate Canadian law, tax law, or charitable as a charitable organization. I'm not sure. Maybe it does, but we have to look into that exactly. You know, it's not over. We're still monitoring whoever is invited to this event and what kind of promotion is going on for it as well. So in that regard, you know, again, we're on top of it. We don't believe they represent all Muslims in Canada. You know, as I referenced, there's the Abraham Accords, and there's Arab countries and Islamic countries that are reaching out and having normalization agreements with Israel. And those Arab and Islamic countries, they represent millions of Arabs and Muslims in the world. So obviously, this particular organization that's having a conference, they don't represent all. And you know, if they try to claim that they speak for all Muslims, well, it's not true. Anyways, they don't. They speak for whatever segment is going to attend, and you know, not everyone who gets an invitation or is interested will attend anyways. But you know, we're concerned about maybe children attending. They're making it into a event. When you look at some of the speakers, I mean, we've documented it. It's extreme. When you have a speaker calling for an intifada in North America, the Jewish community is the most targeted group in North America for hate crimes. You see what goes on campuses too. Jews are targeted there and intimidated. You know, coming into the Jewish community here in Toronto, burning Israeli flags. Give me a break. And then you have a leader from CARE in the United States who spoke at a conference last year and talks about targeting synagogues, the Anti-Defamation League, liberal Jewish organizations. They support the right of Israel to exist. Like, give me a break. It's unbelievable. So, you know, we're on top of it. And, you know, we're encouraging people to go there to monitor it and you know, get in conversations with people, good conversations, to come down to the truth and eliminate anti-Semitism. That's all we're about. We want to expose anti-Semitism, eliminate anti-Semitism. We want that dialogue because we're very concerned about our community getting out of hand. The mapping project in the United States, well, these BDS groups in Canada fully support mapping project, and we're very, you know, we're concerned about that. And you know, when you have that talks about targeting synagogues and Jewish organizations and Hillel groups, that's connected to the mapping project, to the raison d'etre of the mapping project. So, and you have BDS groups here in Canada saying that they want to adopt the mapping project in Canada. So it's worrying. So we have to be on top of it. So the bottom line also for Jewish people, Israel exists, and when things get so bad, you can move to Israel. I'd rather Jews move there for a more positive reason, because it's a Jewish state and it's incredible. Put in Israel spiritually, emotionally, physically, and to be part of the Jewish nation in Israel. It's one family, and you feel it when you really do be part of the future. But you know, if things get so bad, and that's the reason why you're going to come to Israel, so be it. That's how it's going to be. Great. You're welcome. Come. Those are my closing comments. So we're on top of it. Ron, go ahead.
You know, the BDS movement is a failed success when it comes to Israel. So what they can only do now is turn, you know, inwards towards their own communities here in Canada. When I say their own communities, they're the fellow Jewish communities here in Canada, and try to attack the Jewish communities here in Canada or the United States, because they know that, you know, their efforts to attack the state of Israel have borne no fruits, whether it's the mapping project, you know, whether it's conferences like the conference coming up this weekend, whether it's the speakers that they bring in, If you look at the targeting is becoming more and more focused towards the communities here in the diaspora. And I always say it, and I'll always say that at the end of every show, my biggest concern is for the safety of our own communities here in Canada, the United States, and everywhere else in diaspora. Israel is a strong country and will remain a strong country. But unless we remain a strong and cohesive Jewish community, we're going to face some real challenges that will require of us to make some very difficult decisions. And plain and simple, the example of the people who have joined us here today on the show, and if you look at some of the language that they're using, some of the terminology that they're using, you understand that their BDS fight is turned from Israel to the streets of Canada, and we need to be prepared for that. And I believe that you and myself and others are, but our community as a whole needs to be more awakened and recognize that what starts as a walk against Israel through the streets of the Jewish community and the burning of the Israeli flags, and very quickly it turns into the vandalizing of synagogues and the burning down of Jewish buildings. So we need to be aware, we need to be alert, we need to continue to confront these people, we need to continue to bring to light any of these people who are a real threat to our community, and continue to educate those who are willing and wanting to be educated. And above all, stay strong, no quivering knees, and always remember that this is on our side, that the Jewish people have every right to their own homeland, on their ancestral land, in the land of Israel, that we have every right for our own capital, the capital of the Jewish people, which is the capital of Jerusalem. It will never be divided. Israel will never be lost again to the Jewish people. The Jewish people will only gain strength and strength as we continue to grow, as we continue to move on and become that hub of light and future in the Middle East. And the Palestinian people are going to be kept continuously in the back because they refuse to understand and recognize that if they want to participate in today's world, they need to put their hate aside, they need to put their terrorism aside, they need to put their anti-Semitism aside, and they need to become part of a global community that is not built on hate and on anti-Semitism.
Okay, right before we play Hatikva, just the final words on BDS, and I think we should all we should support BDS, because after all, BDS is buy Israeli products, donate to Israeli causes, and support Israel. And there we have. So I don't know why so many radical Jews are bothered by BDS. I think it's a great concept. So on that note, let's hear a little Hatikva, and then we look forward to our next episode.
Good.
Name
Excellent. Thank you for joining us, Ron.
Yeah, no,
Terrific.
thank you very much for having me on the show. It was a perfect show. It was a great show, and like always, you know, always a pleasure to come on and banter a little bit with you and share some of our thoughts on the state of Israel and the affairs of the BDS, so to speak. Quite a pleasure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
המלאך הגואל אותי מכל רע. לילה, לילה טוב, חיבוק של ירח, כוכב מן השקט מצחך.
Shalom aleinu.